You're listening to This Week in NoCode Plus AI, with weekly episodes sharing the latest advancements of AI, plus exclusive interviews with founders using these tools. So without any further ado, let's get started. Welcome to This Week in NoCode Plus AI. I'm your host, JJ Englert, back with my co-host, David Pell, excited for another week in NoCode and AI. We are back from the holiday break. David, how was your break?
Stuffed.
Yeah,
That was fantastic. A nice
good,
break.
good. I went to Disney World with my family and 13 other family
Ooh.
members. We pretty much took up the whole plane. We stayed in one house and went to Disney World together. It was a blast. A little bit sick now, but yeah, really enjoyed
Mhm.
the time.
Yeah.
Also had some really good conversations with AI about my future, my career path. Uh,
Wait. You mean you were just chatting ChatGPT up?
just chatting with ChatGPT. You know,
You
my
know, I
wife.
actually did that recently also. I was like, "Hey, be a CEO coach. Let me ask you some questions.
Yeah.
But first, ask me questions you need to, like, do intake." And it actually was pretty impressive. I
You
was
know
happy with
what?
it.
It gave me some insight. I don't know, like, that time of the year is really tough for me because, like, I always wanna be achieving something, and that time of the year is very slow, so I don't really feel like I'm
Mm.
achieving something, and so I get just a lot of anxiety of,
You
like,
get
"What am I
itchy.
doing?" You know?
Uh-huh.
And especially on break, I can't just turn off my business brain for that long, and my wife doesn't wanna talk about it. So now I just chat with ChatGPT about it, right? And ChatGPT has some kind of memory. It has, like my ambitions, how much I earn, all the different streams, all this kind of stuff. And I'm just like, hey, here are my goals. Here are my priorities. Here is, 5 different things that I aspire in 2025. Help me figure out which ones I should go more in on and what ones I should de-invest from. And, give me best and worst case scenarios based on that, all this kind of stuff. And so, it was actually a pretty good conversation. It made me feel good. One of I think the themes about it is like, uh, I got to get back to course creation. I really
Mhm.
enjoy it. I think I'm good at it. I think it's a nice mix of like my filmmaking, my teaching, my no code skills. And I've been
You're
doing it.
almost at a year at Softr. Like, was this a
Yeah.
surprise? Like, when you took the job, did you think you were gonna be doing more courses?
Like, no, when I took the job, I knew I was going to be doing software courses, which I enjoy. And I'm going to be keeping doing more of those as well. There was a lot of value there. But at the same time, I haven't done another bubble course since, right? But now it's like I'm going to be looking to do more courses just generally on AI, agents, basic stuff. Really something like that can help the 9 to 5er just start to learn how to use AI for the first time. I think that's
Hmm.
kind of where things are leading for me. It can align with a lot of the goals, a lot of things that I'm setting up for myself, but also give a lot of synergy back to my software. Is like if I can get more awareness for that 9 to 5 crowd, that business crowd, then software could be a good tool for them. So trying to find synergistic opportunities of like if I am investing time in my spare time, how can it also help me in my full time, my side project, etc. And that was like one of the synergistic things I found.
Do you and this is not what we're planning on talking about today. One of the things that always comes to mind, and this is like a grass is always greener kind of thing, right? I'm deeply sunken into startup land at the moment, and it's like every waking minute is work. I I worked all day. It was like 4 o'clock in the afternoon before the sun went down. I was like, "Hey," I turned to my wife, "Hey, do you wanna go for a quick walk before it gets dark?" I was on my phone the entire time sending emails and messages, and I'm just, like, always on. And, I was thinking at some point, like, I'm putting myself through all of this stress and work instead of getting a job. And if I had a job, I could clock in, clock out. And maybe that's not really true. I've never actually had, like, a real job, right?
Yeah.
Like, not I worked internships and in the summer, and I was a cashier once, but, really never had a normal clock in, clock out. Maybe that's not a thing that happens. But when you think about, like, your life and job and profession, there's the full-time job. Why don't you just go, "Okay, great. I'm gonna, check in, double down, put everything in here, and then not do other things outside of it?"
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I think it comes down to the person you are. Like a lot of my friends around me, that's all they do. Like that's the thing. Like I don't know anyone that has a side gig, a side hustle, etc. For me, it's different because I'm so passionate about what I do. Like even with Softr, I'm kind of still 24/7, even though I don't need to be. But it's just what I do. It's my networks, it's my connections, and yeah. So I like to do that, and then because I'm already doing it like that, it's like all my side stuff kind of goes in together, and like I have more ambitions than just that one. And so I guess the simple answer is I'm too ambitious for my own good, and I can't let myself rest. But I look at it like I keep thinking, I was like, there are a lot of like I love video games, right? Like I wish I could like for example, freeze time and go play World of Warcraft. I would have a blast, right? And then I was thinking about it's like okay, I can find some nights and weekend nights to play, but if I am playing that, I could literally be building a SaaS or a course at the same time. And the value that I get out of building a SaaS or a course is significantly more than of that of playing a game. And so I just
Value
can't
in
get
what
myself
metric?
to play the
Just
game.
revenue? Just like money?
Money and potential opportunities from whatever that thing that I created comes from. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. I do wonder though sometimes like why are we using money as the driver of like I know why we use money, right?
Sure.
Like money buys lots of things, and
Yeah.
until you have FU money, like you need money for stuff.
Yeah.
The question really kind of stems around like why can't we just have fun and why does everything have to be judged as an opportunity to make more money? Like why couldn't yeah, if you like making courses and teaching people stuff, make courses because you enjoy it, not because
Yeah, and
it's
and that's definitely
money.
part of it too. I think money's a big factor, but it's enjoyment, but also how I want to be seen in the industry, the impact that I want to have, and being able to do more. So I think ambition is probably the biggest thing, and just the goals that I have for myself. And I don't think it's for everyone, and maybe I won't do this forever. I'm lucky enough that software does cover everything that I need, and they do provide a good work life balance. And so if I wanted to like just turn off, I can. Like when I was on holiday, I was able to pretty much turn off, and that was really nice. So I'm really fortunate that I'm able to do
Mhm.
that. But sometimes I turn off for a day and there's like, all right, I'm ready to get going again, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Before we went on that rant, I did want to say what this episode is going to be about. In 2020, the end of 2023, we made predictions for no code and AI in 2024. So we want to recap on those predictions and also give you some new predictions on 2025, see how we did for last year and predict what's coming up next year. Also, we have some major news coming at the end of we're going to
Mhm.
leave you with a little cliffhanger here. So major news, make sure you stay to the end to catch that news. You're literally not going to want to miss it. And then also a big announcement. Should we do an announcement now or an announcement a little later?
Let's wrap it with the announcements.
All right. So we'll leave both of those cliffhangers for that. So yeah, it was a good holiday. That break and that extra time to think really creates a lot of things in your head to like, am I doing this the right way? Am I going about this the right way? What really just comes back to me is like, what do I enjoy? Where am
Mhm.
I looking to go? And how can I, put a couple lines in the water and protect myself should one of those lines fail? I'll be ready with a couple others, knowing that I support my family. I'm the sole income. I have, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot on my shoulders in that way. And I will also want to make sure that, I'm doing what I can in that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it explains it. I'm just looking for, I guess, there isn't a better answer for why we do anything. I don't think there has to be. And I think money is a great enough answer. And I don't know. I guess maybe it's part of my journey of like I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing more of, less of, and all those
Yeah.
kinds of things.
Yeah. Well, start with figuring out what you really want to do. And also think about like your goals and like what's going to help you get to those goals. Until then, let's recap our 2023 going on 2024 predictions. Talk about what we got right, what we didn't get right, and then talk about some new predictions for this new year. Sound good?
Yeah, let's do that. And
It's
that's
been a good year. One of the things that we asked about is like one of the questions was in 2024, what is one prediction that we think will happen with no code? And what I said for this is that I predicted that 2024 will be the year that everyone stops saying no code can't scale. And there'll be other reasons that they will
mhm.
hate on no code, but they'll stop saying no code can't scale. Do you think that prediction was right or wrong? Where are we with that? Did we make any progress?
I think we made some progress. I think it depends on which circles you live in. There are certain circles that are like, here are tools that definitely can scale, and here are tools that still haven't made any progress in scaling.
Fair.
Right? I think Xano, for example, Supabase, FlutterFlow, they've been promoting more evidence and probably some others that, hey, there are big enterprises using these things,
Yeah.
etc. And then there are others that maybe like Bubble that haven't really made much progress and because of pricing changes have actually made it harder to scale.
Yeah.
And so I'd say I mean, kind of, but it was not as dramatic. I think in the video you specifically called out Bubble going, they made an improvement. They just added a 3x improvement on processing and they've made no more progress since that.
It's unfortunate with that tool. I think you hit it on the head with the other tools. I think FlutterFlow has been a really good example showing a no-code tool that can scale to enterprises. You know, I mentioned the contract they got with some enterprises where they were hiring what was like 100 FlutterFlow devs for that
Something
one
like that. Yeah.
that
Crazy.
one
Yeah.
enterprise
Like
that they
a
brought on.
big one. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, and so, like, they're actually getting enterprise contracts like I haven't seen before, and, FlutterFlow is growing rapidly, which we'll talk about soon. So, I think that's good to see. I think one of the things I said there also was it won't be the main thing that they hate on, no code about, and so I do think people talk less about no code can't scale, but now more of the talk is around just having access to code with AI code
Mhm.
editors and AI, creators to create all this, like, why not just go to the code instead of using no code? I think it's more about that now than, "No, I'm not gonna use no code because I can't scale." It's just gonna be like, "I'm just gonna actually build it with an AI coder than no code."
Mhm. Yeah, we did not. We'll swing back on the AI part in a second. Let's continue with some of our predictions.
Let's see. The next one was we asked what tool we were thinking that was gonna grow the most in the next year, right? And now you picked FlutterFlow. And in 2023 to 2024, it grew from 300,000 to 800,000 users. And I picked Glide. And you mentioned, or you said on the call that they maybe over had around 30,000 power users, but they actually don't come out with their numbers of the users. They're not talking about that. So there's no way to actually measure that. But I do want to shout you out for FlutterFlow because FlutterFlow is now at 1.8 million users,
Yeah.
a jump from 800,000 to 1.8 million. And I think that's the biggest jump I've seen. Softr went from 300,000 to 600,000, which is double, but still not as big as the 800 to 1.8.
Yeah, that's
But
800 to 1.8 is like one and a half almost.
yeah, and WeWeb hasn't gotten these numbers yet. BuildChip hasn't gotten these numbers yet. Bubble, I don't know. It's hard to tell like where they actually are
Yeah,
in
if
their
what
numbers.
numbers they're actually representing when they ship
Right.
things out. Yeah.
So it's hard to say that's, but I think your prediction for FlutterFlow would be accurate. Now the big question is what do you think is going to be for 2025? What one of these no-code platforms do you think will continue to find the biggest success?
I think Supabase is gonna be
Yeah,
that's a
that's
database. It's
probably
just
already the
vector.
winner. Yeah.
I'm gonna throw a wild card out here. I'm
Okay.
gonna say WeWeb.
Oh, interesting.
I think if you the CEO Raphael
Yeah.
just came out on Twitter and said something, and from what I've heard, they have some very big changes coming.
Yeah.
Like I think they are in a prime position to double down on AI, and they don't have a brand. Like I think Glide is doing a phenomenal job on incorporating AI into their app
Yeah.
and their ecosystem, but they already have a marketing presence of what they were, and they already have a lot of users. So really like 10xing is going to be hard. I think WeWeb is early enough with some passionate users, and they're going to double down on AI without a bunch of baggage of how things had been working and all of that. So I think that's my prediction. I think
I
it's
think
WeWeb.
WeWeb is a really good one. If for those that don't know, WeWeb is essentially a no-code platform, visual builder, but it exposes all the code. And then now they're working with an AI component builder to allow you to use AI to build these components or to really build anything in WeWeb. and then you could still use a visual interface to edit those
Mhm.
specific things or access the code. And I think the really great thing about this approach is I've been using Lovable a lot, and I think Lovable is doing a really good job. It will get you to a prototype, but the thing is like once you have like 5 or 10 pages in the app, to like target one specific thing and like
Mhm.
change that or to create and have a component or reusable that you have many places in the app and have that. It's just not there yet. It's like you still have to be very specific and do a ton of prompting to change one very specific thing. And that's where
Mhm.
just like literally being able to click on that visual thing and say, just
Yeah.
change this one thing that WeWeb will be able to provide you will be very, very beneficial. And so I
Yeah.
think they have a huge edge in that way. And I really like to see what they're doing. I will say that they still have a really small team. And I think because of the really small team, they're seeing just less growth overall from like a marketing perspective, but also less growth from the product. This is they've told me about this for like a year and a half now, and it's still kind of just coming about. So I think they're going to find success, but I'm just not sure they're going to reach that growth that might be needed or
Well,
to win this prize.
to think about what they said on the call, he had term sheets. He hasn't raised. I think
Yeah.
if they see the growth, like I still think there's room in the market for globs of developers to rally behind a no code tool that developers have basically written off Bubble. I think
Yeah.
like half of San Francisco said, I'm never going to use Bubble. I think
Yeah.
there's room for something like a WeWeb. If it's not a Devon or Copilot or Lovable,
Yeah.
that that
I
they
don't
end
know.
up behind.
I don't see at this point with I just don't see developers go into a no code solution anymore because of the access that they get with AI. Like Lovable, for example, I think will take any of your ideas to like 70, 80%. And then if you know code, you just take it the last 30% in your own environment. And it's like a huge head start. And it's like, why would you even go to a no code platform that you have to learn in that case? Like AI coding tools are kind of giving you that head start,
Yeah.
that speed advantage that you were hoping to get out of no code tools. So I think right now, I think we kind of have two categories. I think we have the power in traditional development, and then we have the simplicity, and I just need to accomplish something really simple, right? And I think the power in traditional development, that's like a FlutterFlow, that's like a WeWeb, that's like a Lovable, that's like a Bolt, Replit, those are all competing in, I think, for the same kind of
Mhm.
user and end
Yeah.
use case. And then the other ones are like softer. It's like, I don't need a whole new environment. I don't need all this kind of stuff.
Mhm.
I just need a really simple CRUD application that, my marketing specialist can spin up for me. They don't need to know how
Yeah.
to, put together SSL certs or database or anything. Like even though
Yeah,
Lovable does
that's
that
true.
stuff for you, you got to tell it to do that. And then if there's an error, like you need to know about all this stuff to like prompt it to fix it for you. And
Mhm.
so I think we're kind of going into two
Yeah.
categories as simplicity and power, and at that power level, no code and code are competing head on, I think.
I think so, but I think the winning combination is both. Like, it's
Yeah,
gonna end up being both. The
yeah,
other prediction that kinda builds off of what you're saying with software not needing a database all the time or
yeah.
SSL certs is one of the predictions or that I made last year was that we're going to move from pure MVP
Oh,
agencies
yeah,
into
yeah,
automation agencies.
yeah,
And I think in an indirect way, I mean, I think most agencies are still in MVPs and
yeah.
building. I don't think we
Agreed.
really saw
As much
the
movement in that way.
explosion into
Yeah,
anything else or even upstream into like enterprises.
yeah,
We did see something that we didn't expect, which is AI agents. And that is AI workflows or AI agents, workflows being like basically they already have the map, they're just kind of orchestrating within that versus a like autonomous AI agent. And I think that is something that's coming up. And I think we are seeing a lot more AI agent agencies and people
mhm,
consulting on how to set up AI
yeah.
agents. I just don't think it's no code agencies that are spreading into that.
No, it's AI agents are at like an all-time hype cycle. Like I was looking on Google search trends and essentially they're at 100% popularity in the last couple of months, whereas no code's been at like 5 to 4, like 6%. Like you look at the
Yeah.
the year growth, AI agents far surpasses no code. And so a lot of AI agents are no code platforms. Like they're using no code ways and automations to create these agents. And so I think AI agents are another way to deliver, no code like tools and platforms, but it's just coming under a different terminology. Like I think what everyone's really
Yeah,
into
but
right now
this
is
comes
automations
exactly
and AI.
at that point of what you were talking about with software. Like, I don't need an app that does this, right? I just want it to do the thing,
Sure.
right? I just want it to take my HubSpot lead and enrich it. I don't want an app that I need to see all of the leads and click a bunch of buttons
Yeah.
and then go, figure out what data I need. I want it to just happen,
Yeah.
right?
And I think this prediction that you made about more of these agencies going in that direction, I think it's still going to be true, but it's going to be like a 5 to 10 year spread out as like, I think the need for knowledge is more than ever before right now. The need for people to up skill and to learn these new technologies is more than ever before. But it's still going slow, and
Mhm.
AI has lowered the barrier so more people can do it as well. So I think we'll continue to see this happen, and I think a lot of the services are just gonna be called AI automations, like, maybe AI agencies, automation agencies, whatever it may be, but it's really what we've been doing a lot already, which is building automations with AI
Mhm.
functionalities that allow you to take something, automate it, add AI infusion in there along the way, and I think now it's just going under different terminology that's more mainstream, like AI agents.
Yeah, yeah, I think that all makes sense, yeah. I think that'll be much bigger this coming year.
Yeah, it's gonna be big, and everyone has kind of already started to build automations, and now it's gonna be, okay, now automations with AI that are agentic, that
Mhm.
can, process a resume for you and evaluate it for you. Like all of these mundane tasks, or I think a lot more companies are going to be using it. And I think it's going to be baked into a lot more different platforms. And so the exposure is going to start to happen at a mainstream. Like Salesforce is going to do it, HubSpot's going to do it, which is going to drive
Mhm.
exposure down the ladder for everyone else, which is going to be really good for our industry. But I think no code is actually the terminology is just going to get swallowed up, and it's not really going to be known for no code anymore. It's just going to be AI automations or something like that.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I definitely could see that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but the MVP thing, I think we're kind of off there. It's stayed just like it has been. I've seen people making just as many MVPs as ever before. Maybe they'll continue to make their own software platforms, and now that accessibility is lower, the what you could do is greater. SaaS fees are still high. Maybe you'll continue to make their own. I'm not sure, but
Talked about the future of no-code agencies, lots of training and getting people to use tools now and
yeah.
integrating AI into it. Every app now has an AI component, I'd say.
Yeah, that was one of my predictions. I think this is another thing similar to yours where, like, I think it will happen, but it's just not happened yet. I think it's gonna be a slow burn of, like, more people need to be upskilled, more training needs to happen, and as that requirement becomes more mainstream, there'll be more AI automation agencies that are implementing, auditing, and training for
Mhm.
enterprises and companies all over the world of, "Hey, let's look at the systems you already have. Let's figure out how we can connect these, add AI into it to, think about this, and then let's teach you how to use these systems." So I
Yep.
think it's definitely coming, but it's not at the level that I predicted of it going for. But I think for 2025, no code agencies, let's stay on that one and make a prediction. Where do you think no code agencies are going in 2025? Studio no code. I'll start, give you a little bit of time. I think we're going to continue to see the trend of no code agencies going with many tools that they service. So, like, whereas we've normally seen like this no code agency just does one tool, I think we're going to see no code agencies doing a handful of tools. And that's because there are so many good tools now, and it opens the market for available clients. But also, these tools are now specializing in certain things, and using them combined can add great advantages. And so, I think we're going to see no code agencies find their stride. They're going to become bigger, and they're also going to be more just AI automation agencies building all kinds of automations and tools to help their clients at any levels, rather than just one tool that they specialize in.
Hmm. I like that. I think it blends really well to be able to work with a business and get them to do more than just build them their product, help their business all the way through.
Yeah.
What do I think is going to happen with no code agencies? I think no code agencies are going to bring in more code.
Yeah. 100%.
I think it's easier than ever for that to happen.
Yeah. They're not
Uh,
going to be no
Um,
code agencies anymore. They're just going to be
yeah, coding agencies that,
automation agencies or whatever.
yeah, that use code or no code or AI or an AI tool to help prototype something. I wouldn't be surprised if more no code agencies end up looking more like Minimum Studio, like their code or Fly Tech. They're
Yeah.
like very code heavy that use no code tools strategically.
Mhm.
What else?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that will happen. I think we're getting to some more maturity in no code agencies. And so I think they're all going to be looking for more ways to make money. So automation is one of them. I think the next way to do that is to branch out to just fully coded apps.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that goes with the point earlier of like the two categories of like your power traditional platforms, and I think that's the no code and AI coding blend is happening there. And I think that we're going to see that on the agency front as well. These powerful platforms are blending together code and no code, and we're going to see that on the agency front. Whereas I think you're still going to have some smaller agencies or yeah, smaller agencies still focus on, like a software agency or whatnot. And I think that still serves that one niche of
Mhm.
just like, hey, we have these non-technical people that still need this for the first time. But and I like your prediction though. I think these agencies generally will be using a lot of tools to help their clients in a lot of ways. And I think automation will continue to rise in that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
AI agents are too hyped right now to, not make money
Someone
off.
has to take advantage of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
exactly.
sure.
Yeah. I never gave you my prediction for the tool that I think is gonna grow the
Mm.
most.
Right, right, right.
You said WeWeb, and I know I'm gonna sound like a homer for this, but I do think Softr is well positioned to do this. We've grown 2x the last 2 years, but we've added team members, and we're launching some new stuff this year that I think is really gonna take us to, like, maybe the 2 million user mark by the end of the year, and because we're so accessible to so many
Hmm.
people to get started for the first time, I really do think that this is gonna be like a flagship banner year for Softr. We wanna be the Canva for app creation generation, right? And that's just like a very accessible tool to create apps. And hopefully with people wanting to create more AI and agents and all this kind of stuff, and with the features that Softr is building, we'll meet them right where they are and allow the general 9 to 5er to build, their first apps using Softr. So I do think that we'll see the biggest growth percentage in this next year, similar to that of
Hmm.
FlutterFlow's last year.
Interesting. I'm rooting for you guys. I think it's great. I think you've carved out a nice market share that's not just head to head competition with everyone else, which is great. We'll
Yeah,
see if you, one of the things that like if I put my investor hat on, I think you have an earlier exit point than Bubble does. Like eventually everyone leaves Bubble because they scale out of it.
sure.
I
Yeah, yeah,
would
yeah.
be, my biggest concern is that you like to hit, thinking about growth numbers, to triple, you add, 1.2 million more people. If you were to triple again, you have to add 4 million more people. And if you lose anyone, you have to fill that space too.
Mhm.
And so like to it's just really tough if the churn moves. I'm nervous that like people get to a point with the apps that they get hit some block and they
Yeah,
would need to then go find some other, like they upgrade to a WeWeb or Bubble
sure.
and then eventually they get to code.
Yeah.
That
I
would
think with
be
the features that we're building now, I think that that point where you have to leave is gonna be much further away than it is right now. I think
mhm,
it's gonna be one of those things where you can do 90% of what you need here, and in most small business use cases, it's like that's all this internal tool needs. It doesn't
mhm.
need to be a full
Yeah.
custom design from Figma or anything like that. So I think I like the position for it. I really do. I feel like there are a lot of no-code platforms that I'm worried about right now, And again, it's a homer take, but I feel really good about how
Yeah.
Softr is positioned because code is just overkill for the problems that we're solving, you know? So, yeah,
Can I ask this is maybe a question that you can't answer, and if you can't, don't answer it. Don't
sure.
feel obligated to like take off your software hat. Is there like where does software end up? People talk about Bubble getting bought by like Microsoft or
Yeah.
something. Is software bought by like Squarespace
Mhm.
or Wix or
Yeah.
Microsoft? I mean, like, what's the end game?
I mean, I think the best case would be Canva. Canva buys us. Like Canva has already marketing professionals, sales professionals, operations professionals making graphics of all kinds, making videos of all kinds. And now, if they need to make internal tools or apps of any kind, that would be the next step. And so, yeah, I think Canva is really the direction that we're going. And whether they buy us or we hopefully reach some level of that success, that would be the trajectory that we're aiming
Mhm.
for.
Interesting. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah,
cool.
Canva's a
No, I
really
was
good
curious.
comp for us. Hopefully, they don't start making apps.
Yeah, I mean, if you're the Canva of app making, and all of a sudden Canva becomes the Canva for app making, you need a new slogan.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure.
That's
Alright,
funny.
any last predictions that we have for 2025 before we move on to our announcements and anything else?
I think this is going to be the hardest year for no code.
Yeah,
I think this is the make or break year for no code. I think all of the platforms will exist after the end of the year. I think this is the year that either no code shows that they can step up to development and like be a developer tool, compete with AI and AI platforms and succeed like that, or it will never be serious. Like
that's a really
I don't
good
know.
take. It
That
might
that's
be a
how.
little exaggerated in terms of, like, maybe the next 2 or 3 years will be this, but I really
But
like
by
the
the end
take.
of the year, you'll see the writing on the wall that
Yeah,
like it's not looking good that no code is the industry that survives.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
My take is similar to that, and it's gonna go on what some of the other stuff that I've said, but I do think that the no-code terminology is going to go away, and it's gonna be less and less and less, and I think a lot of these platforms have already started to rebrand around visual development, all that kinda stuff. I think we'll continue to see that, and I think it's more gonna be about AI automation, code, no code. I don't know, but
Mhm.
the no code moniker is going to be less and less, and eventually is going to go away. And it's not going to be how we think about these platforms anymore. As AI is no code, like it's just
Mhm.
it's all being eaten up. And I think the no code terminology is going to be eaten up as no code and code platforms blend together and create a new kind of software building.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I like that. Yeah.
So all right. So this also is what is it? It's like our 54th episode now, which is just about a
At
year of
least.
doing this. And we've done it almost every week for a year. We've had
A couple breaks here
incredible
and there. Yeah.
people on the podcast. We've had nearly all
Mhm.
the CEOs of the no-code platforms, a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of experts, and just thought leaders. It's been a really good year for This Week in No-Code and AI. If you haven't shared it with your friends already, please do. We're still looking to spread the word about all the things that we're talking about. We'd really appreciate that. And one of the reasons why we started this podcast was we also started our studio together at the same time, Studio NoCode.
Mhm.
It was
Yep.
about a year ago, just about a year ago, right? It did
It was
13, 14 months
it's
ago.
hard to I think it was more yeah, it was like we were freelancing in like August of 23.
Okay.
August, September, we kind of like put out the first 4-week MVP 20K thing. Then we had a few clients through I remember working on some clients in Buenos Aires and Mendoza,
Okay.
having some scoping calls, and then coming back because there was a bunch of work about to hit our plate or trying to whatever it was, finishing stuff up. So and then like then it transformed into more than just the two of us, and then it continued to expand from there. Yeah, about a year ago.
Yeah. So we started this podcast. We started the studio 13, 14, 15 months ago. It's been a really good year. A lot has changed. I sense the departed left for Softr. You've continued the studio and have built it bigger and better. Why don't you talk about kind of where the studio is today and maybe some of the news that have come around the studio?
Yeah. So the studio, I mean, we had at some point like 8 people working at the same
Developer
time,
or PM.
developers, designers, PMs, and me and you, and all these like overlap. I think there were 10 people at some point touched projects, some 8 at the same time. We launched, I think we counted like 12 or 14 apps throughout the whole life cycle. Some were bigger, some were smaller, some are still ongoing, some were still like just quick hits.
Yeah.
One project got acquired
Yeah, that's right.
since we launched it.
Yeah.
Many are still being used to run businesses. We worked with startups in accelerators like Techstars, and others in across the country. We had projects across the globe. Well, at least in couple different countries. People from across the globe, that's for sure. It's basically spanned all over the world. And yeah, and so this
All in your first year,
all in
like
the first year.
that's really great. And you think about it, like first year of business, you essentially built a project per month, and the average project being 15, $25,000. I don't know,
Yeah, something
between
like that.
that, something like that.
Yeah.
And having flexibility to also travel a lot during that time. But I
Mhm.
think, yeah, generally we've helped a lot of people while I was there, but you've gone on to build this up bigger and better. So yeah, congrats to you on that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But that's not the big news. The big news is that RapidDev acquired Studio NoCode about 2 days ago.
Yeah,
No, it's
congrats.
officially 2 days ago.
Congrats.
Worked on it over the end of the last year and through the holidays to get that all moved over. Team stayed on, gets to keep working on projects, a bunch of new projects. As you make noise online and tell people about what you're up to, people reach out, "Hey, I have an app I need to get built."
That's great.
And so we're gonna move on and build more stuff through RapidDev. I'm still involved helping with sales and some client stuff, but otherwise, I'm mostly moving on to SaaS world to really focus heads down on the SaaS project that I've been working on. Yeah, so that's all really exciting. So we get to
Congrats.
join RapidDev. Matt was on the pod,
Yep.
Matt Graham, and yeah, it's been really
Recently, the
fantastic.
largest
Yeah,
no-code agency. Now
yeah.
just yeah, agency, 90 people, and now it's gonna be bigger with you
Now even
guys,
bigger.
which is great 'cause there's so much support along the way, professionals in kind of in each area, and also
Yeah,
just a great person. So I'm glad that you were able
yeah,
to
yeah.
make
That's
that
great.
work. Hard work pays off there. Your second acquisition or third?
Yeah, yeah. We'll say second acquisition.
Yeah.
My third one, I'm hoping is the biggest.
Yeah. Yeah. I've
Yeah.
So I've sold no-code databases, I've sold Jump Studios. I didn't sell Studio NoCode, but I was part of it. So 3 no-code acquisitions in the no-code world for me now.
Mhm.
There's money to be made here. It's,
Yeah,
not only on the agency side, but to be able to sell it, to be able to sell the platforms that you build. That's one of the things I do really appreciate is it's very sellable. You're thinking about like on a micro acquire, like bubble apps, other no-code apps sell well generally because it's an easier stack to understand. It's just like all one thing. It's all built in. All the sales that I've done there, it was easily transferable. So yeah, that's good
yeah.
to see there that the sales keep coming in that way.
Yeah, and we did list on micro acquired. That's not how we got in touch with Matt, but we did list and there was interest and they were very supportive in helping to get that going. So if you are an agency owner, there are people out there buying no code agencies and just agencies in general.
Yeah, fantastic. We always bring on those people that, had an acquisition. And it's funny that you are the person we bring on for the acquisition. So congrats.
Announcing the acquisition
Announcing ourselves
of
on this
RapidDev,
acquisition.
you know, good. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Congrats.
So,
Congrats. So you
so
you
that
said
is
that
great.
you were moving on to a SaaS that you've been working on. You haven't said much
Mhm,
about the SaaS, and that's fine.
mhm.
You don't need to.
Yeah, yeah.
You've essentially you came across this need for a personal thing,
Mhm.
and you start to build it. You've been focused on that, really focused on that for a while now, and that's going to continue to lead you in that direction. You're thinking,
Yeah, definitely. The app is going really well. Um, the last 6 months or so since we actually launched it, we've been getting tons of great feedback from people. I remember the first paying customer, it was like out of the blue and we were stressed and it didn't work and we didn't know how to troubleshoot it. We didn't know why. And now we're doing like 3 and 4 customers a day. And so we're like making progress.
Yeah.
There's, pricing that we're still working on. There's a new website we're launching with new onboarding to help with a whole new customer base. We've been testing, like, well, right now we're still very much in like testing beta mode, which
Yeah.
was like most of the things work, but we end up working with real computers and devices, and
Mhm.
you'll hear more about it in the next couple months. And we just need reps. Like,
Yeah.
we just need to go get every possible combination. And
Yeah.
so many times we handle things with no problem. Every now and again, we bump into a thing that needs some attention and some bug fixing. Totally normal. We are almost out of that. We are kind of like okay, great. Now we just need to execute, and we've put systems in place to scale things. We have a reliable ad channel, which we're able
Okay.
to bring folks in to that. We haven't done any cold outreach or really networking, just Facebook ads, and so that is an area we can scale up.
Yeah.
And
That's
so
nice
yeah,
to have
so
that
so
channel.
it's yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say it's easy now, but we
Yeah.
have we are certain we have problem market fit,
Mhm.
which is this problem exists and there is a market willing to pay for a solution. Form factor, pricing, delivery are all things we're going to still tinker with and optimize, but it's nice to have at least that.
Yeah. Congrats. I mean, that's incredible. Having
Thanks.
building another business, this is now your 3rd business you're doing,
More than
and
third, maybe only
that's right
third
there,
like
yeah.
success.
Yeah. True. I remember the stamp business that you did, not the stamp,
Oh, the licensing.
the licensing, yeah,
Dude,
yeah,
that's still a good business. And now with AI, it's even better.
yeah, yeah,
I just need to train an AI agent to use all these registration websites, and it's even better than it was before. But we did send postcards to people in Alaska. That was
yeah,
how I made my first like internet SaaS money,
yeah.
which was cool. And then there was like a real estate contract analysis, which we were just really early on. I think it was actually a pretty good idea. We just didn't we didn't wait it out, right? There's this
Yeah.
like trough of like, we have a product, we don't really know how to sell it, we don't know why people want it. Some people might be interested. They're like talking to us, but we couldn't wait long enough to see that out.
Well
Plenty of others in the
well,
middle.
congrats on the acquisition.
Thanks.
That was the announcement that we wanted to make. You're ready to share more about the company, let us
Mhm.
know so we could talk about it. But
Okay,
there
yeah.
was also one other cliffhanger that we really
Yeah.
teased in the beginning that, like, "Hey, we need to get to," and like
Yeah.
we said, this is what, our 54th episode together.
Mhm.
It's been a incredible first season, whatever you wanna call it, of This Week in NoCode Plus
Second, I think
AI.
we're on the second or third season now.
Yeah,
If we the
depending
way
on
we
how
had
many, yeah.
initially planned the season, it's like
Yeah,
13 at a time.
exactly. But unfortunately, with all good things, sometimes they need to not come to an end, but to a change or to
Yeah.
adjustment.
Yeah.
And what might that be, David?
Yeah. Today is my last podcast as host. I can come back as
I
a
post.
guest, maybe next
We're
year.
still friends.
Next year as a prediction recap. Let's talk about these again, and in the middle as I launch and talk more about the app and the business, and I would love to kind of keep you updated on that, keep you up to date on that journey. Yeah, today's
Podcast episode.
my
I mean, it
last
makes sense with
episode.
you not like officially exiting the no code world, but like without having the no code studio anymore and you really focusing on a SaaS that is a hybrid of everything and just building a business,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
That's where your
yeah,
focus is right now. Hosting the podcast takes a lot of time, takes a lot of effort that we put
yeah,
in behind the scenes to make this happen for you all. And so you've been a really great partner from start to
yeah.
finish.
You
Your
too. Yeah, this
add
has been a lot
great
of fun.
insights,
It's been fun to
value
learn
along the way.
from you on how to be a podcast host.
We're all learning. We all
Yeah, we're all
learning. You
oh,
you
yeah.
you definitely added a lot of great viewpoints. You're a really smart guy. I know audience is gonna miss having your viewpoint here. Hopefully, they don't get too sick of me. I
Well,
don't
I'm sure it'll be fun.
thank
It'll
you.
be fun.
What's next for the pod? I'm gonna still keep doing the pod. I'm not gonna bring anyone else on to co-host. I'm just gonna kinda do it myself and see how that goes. In similar directions, still bring in people that we wanna interview. Also kinda deep dive into some of the topics that I'm interested about, maybe making courses about, maybe talking about platforms like a Lovable or like a Flow, like different solutions that could
Mhm.
be helpful for you, dive into and provide insights there. Maybe less on the news front and more on deep dives into new platforms and how they can help you learn new skills. It's probably on my side. I don't know when the next episode is going to come out. I don't know if we're going to keep with a weekly cadence or not. I need a little bit of time to get my thoughts in order, trying to figure out how to execute this thing without having you. Also, our wonderful producer Harrison will be stepping away as well, unfortunately, for similar reasons.
Mhm.
And he's been with us since the start. He's been with
Yep.
us editing,
Couldn't have done it without
producing.
him.
Couldn't have done
Yep.
it without him. He's taken a lot of the weight off our plate. So without you two, it's going to be sad, but it is something that I want to keep carrying on. And, we have a good listenership out there, and I
Yep.
think we're helping you all out. Yeah. If so, let us
Yeah.
know. It's a
Yeah.
good encouragement for me to keep going with this. If you
Now's a
have any,
good time to give some feedback of what you wanna hear and what you wanna see so that you have enough to get what you need.
exactly, exactly. So, David, thank you. You've been a
Yeah.
wonderful
Thank
partner.
you, JJ. Glad we did this.
Agreed. It definitely 54 episodes, whatever it is, it's took a lot of
Yeah.
commitment. We're the number one no code podcast on Spotify. We have accomplished that and so much more. So it's been a great journey. We're not going to see you next week in no code, but maybe the week after.
Yeah.
All right, David.
Some week in no code.
See y'all.
See y'all.